from 11 possibly giving up her life for Hawkins, to Lieutenant Colonel Jack Sullivan splitting the group up once again. Here are some Stranger Things Season 5 theories and questions that need answers. Especially since the gang might be saying bye to Elle. I mean, she is the one who brought the Upside Down into existence to trap Henry. So it would make sense for her to be the one to take it down too. As long as 11's around, that connection to the Upside Down keeps causing trouble. And with Vecna on the rampage and Hawkins, the stakes are higher than ever. Obviously losing 11 would suck for all the fans. The show's been following these characters from their childhood, and it's only natural that the series wraps up for them to step into adulthood. But with the show's coming-of-age theme, would also mean learning to deal with some tough stuff, like living without 11. Losing Elle would be tough for the group. But part of growing up is learning to deal with loss and move on. She's been such a huge part of their lives, the lovable weirdo who's changed things for the better. But it's not just 11 who could go down this path, it could be Will too. Will's got a psychic link to Vecna, thanks to that portal he created to the Upside Down. He can actually sense Vecna's presence, and the Mind Flayer's got some major plans for the rest of Hawkins, but he's got a soft spot for Will. Vecna's been itching for a new body to take over, ever since he's been in that alternate dimension. According to some fans, Will might trick Vecna into using his body, only to sacrifice himself and take Vecna down with him. This would make a lot of sense, since the Duffer Brothers themselves said Will's gonna have a major role in Season 5. Poor kid's been through some rough stuff in the show, and now you're telling me he was always destined to die in the Upside Down. But since the show kicked off with his disappearance, maybe it's only fitting that his story comes full circle. But that's not all the fans are curious about. They also want to know why the Upside Down a copy of 1983 Hawkins. When Steve, Nancy, Robin, and Eddie ventured into that creepy dimension, they came across Nancy's house. The plan was to grab some weapons, but instead Nancy found her old diary. Turns out the Upside Down is stuck on November 6th, 1983, the exact day when Will disappeared back in Season 1. Now, some people believe it's frozen on that date, because that's also when Elle opened the gate in Season 1. But she opened other gates too, like when she kicked Henry's butt to another dimension. Not to mention all the gates opened after Season 1, but the Upside Down still mirrors Hawkins on that fateful date for some reason. Which makes me wonder, could the Upside Down be all in 11's head? There's a theory floating around that 11 might be the mastermind behind the Upside Down, but not in the way you think. It might all just be her subconscious. The theory says that the Upside Down is 11's brainchild, even though she might not even know it herself. It's like her thoughts and emotions are creating this twisted, creepy dimension without her even intending to. Sure, in Season 4 you learn that the Upside Down was actually the handiwork of Vecna. But this theory still makes for some interesting connections. It suggests that there's this super close tie between 11 and the Upside Down. Like, they're inseparable in some weird way, and that's something they might dig deeper into in Season 5. You can totally picture 11 with her telekinetic powers having some kind of crazy influence over the Upside Down. But it's kind of tragic too, you know? She might not even be aware of what she's unintentionally creating. But that's not the only confusion. Because I also need an explanation for why Vecna keeps his victims' bodies. Back when 11 cracked open the portal from Hawkins to the Upside Down, she sent Vecna straight to a whole other universe. But it totally wrecked his human body, and there was no way he could use it anymore. Vecna wasn't about to let that stop him, though. He had some serious world domination plans up his sleeve for Stranger Things Season 4. Only problem was, he needed a human body to blend in and execute his evil schemes. So guess who he set his sights on? Max, Chrissy, and Nancy Wheeler's friend Fred Benson from the school newspaper. So all of these people end up in his mind lair, and it's not a pretty sight. Max comes across Chrissy all twisted up and tied to a tree made of Vecna's creepy tentacles. And when Nancy stumbles into the lair, she finds Fred in a similar, messed up situation. It's clear Vecna's up to something with their bodies, which is why he's not just tossing them aside like previous Stranger Things villains. Like, remember how in Season 3, Vecna got all cozy inside Billy's head thanks to the Mind Flayer? Well, Season 4 is hinting at something similar with his new victims. But this time, he's gonna take it up a notch, especially now that our main characters are aware of his existence, and it seems like Max is already his pawn. After waking up from that coma, if she ever does, there's a chance Max could become the next victim of the Upside Down's creepy villains, like Vecna or someone else. I mean, we've seen it happen before. Those sinister creatures love to possess people, making them do messed up stuff. Remember poor Billy? If Max gets taken over, though, it'd be a total bummer. But it would also be a full circle situation after what happened to her brother. Considering all this, the Duffer Brothers are warning us about some seriously intense stuff with the new season. Because imagine Vecna using Max's connection with her friends against them, just like the Mind Flayer did with Will. Yeah, that might just happen. Nobody's ever escaped Vecna before Max, so maybe she was already doomed from the start. If her body gets taken over, who knows? She might end up following in her brother's footsteps and make the ultimate sacrifice to save the group. While it looked like she escaped Vecna's clutches, her consciousness is actually stuck in a coma, which makes some people think she might have actually died and got trapped in the Upside Down with Vecna. Not a great situation, huh? Remember that emotional moment in Season 4? Where Max escaped from Vecna in the most badass way possible, with running up that hill playing in the background? Well, if she didn't make it out in the end, that was all for nothing, which is a little sad. But before you get ahead of yourselves, there's a theory floating around that Eleven's gonna have to step up and save the day. She'll have to venture into Henry's mind to retrieve Max's soul or consciousness and put her own life on the line to help her friend. Once Eleven's in Vecna's head, it's going to be one epic showdown. She'll have to take him down, and maybe even put an end to the Upside Down once and for all. Otherwise, she might be killed. Sullivan's a new villain, but looks like he's here to stay in Season 5, too. You don't know much about his past, except that he's part of the US Army, and he's got his eye on Hawkins, because of all the weird stuff that went down there from 83 to 85. Things got real tense between the US military and the heads of Hawkins' lab, all thanks to those sneaky cover-ups at the lab and that big fire at Starcourt Mall. But it wasn't until 1986 that Sullivan and his group really got into action. And the man wasn't playing nice at all. He raided Dr. Sam Owen's home, ordered an attack on the Byers place out in California, and it resulted in some serious consequences. One agent died, another got captured and tortured, and things got even messier when they went after the Nina Project facility, hoping to snatch 11. And yeah, they even shot Dr. Brenner, but Elle used her crazy powers to take down their helicopter. Sullivan managed to survive, though, and he had a front row seat to see 11 walking off with her crew. Now here's the thing, fans think he's out to get 11, and things might get real personal. In fact, he could even split the team up again, like how it went down in Seasons 3 and 4, with the fans having mixed feelings about it. Sure, it let the writers cover more ground, but most people want to see the gang in action in the same place, especially since Season 5 is the last time we get to see them. But if Sullivan's the real deal in Season 5, we could be in for another separation. On one side, the adults might have to deal with this military menace and Sullivan, maybe even a fight with Hopper. Meanwhile, Elle and her friends would be gearing up to face Vecna. So, from Jack Sullivan splitting the group up once again, to 11 possibly giving up her life for Hawkins, these were Stranger Things. Season 5 theories and questions that need answers.